Salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and I have a really good friend on here today. I got Ad Godinez from JPMorgan Chase. Ad, how are you doing?
Oh, brother, I'm doing really well. Eileen and I are enjoying Columbus, Ohio, a place we didn't know existed on the map.
Yeah.
Ended up at JPMorgan Chase and really enjoying the experience.
Well, cool. Hey, to get our viewers oriented on you, so let's talk about where you're from. Let's talk a little bit about your Army journey, because it's a long time and you're very, very old. And then more importantly, let's talk about your transition into JPMorgan Chase and advice you have for veterans. So tell us about Texas.
Yeah, so I'm going to shrink 31 years really quickly, and I'm going to share that, born and raised in Muleshoe, Texas, a small town between Lubbock and Clovis, New Mexico. I think we now have 3 stoplights. It's humble beginnings. I grew up in a trailer house, enlisted in the Army, spent 2 years active duty enlisted, and had a platoon leader. I will never forget Leona C. Cooper, who told me, "Son, you are way too smart to stay enlisted." She introduced me to then a Medal of Honor winner, former Wolfhound, and he interviewed me and said, "Why don't you go to West Point, son?" Now, I didn't know what West Point was. That's how poor we were. Had no idea. And so I said, "Sure, sounds hard. Let me go do it." And that led me down the road of West Point was hard. I finished in the top third, but only because of PT and military acumen. Academics not so strong. And then ended up selecting infantry, branched infantry, did all the hard jobs all the way up to major. I decided I needed to be a strategist. As you know, before that, Chris, you and I were in combat together. In 114, you were a company commander, and I was a company commander. Always admired what you did as a company commander, by the way, Chris. Always.
Thank you.
One of the best company commanders I've ever seen. And then from there, I journeyed into the strategist realm in echelons above reality. Wrote a plan for Europe that was supposed to stop Russia from invading anywhere. That worked out really well. Came back to SAMS to start a PhD program. Worked on Mexico in particular and on drugs for a while. So I ended up getting voluntold to go work in the White House. Worked in the executive office of the president for the Office of National Drug Control Policy as a senior analyst. From there to the Pentagon, and was responsible for advising the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff on all of the Western Hemisphere policy, all the countries across the Western Hemisphere, half of the world.
Yeah.
From that experience, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to retire. This has been fun. It's been very exciting, and announced it on a Facebook page to my USMA classmates, and Sean Cooney, a Ranger School friend, Sam's friend, combat together as well, and he's like, "I want you to meet somebody because I think you can change the minds at JPMorgan Chase about military stereotypes." And so I ended up at JPMorgan Chase through him and the military fellowship program.
That's awesome. So what's that journey been like? I love your story. We've known each other for a very long time. From a very poor place in Texas to enlisted to West Point, great career, and then a successful post-military career. I mean, that's an inspiration. I told some folks off camera, if you're willing to put the calories in, it can pay off, right? And you're an inspiration that demonstrates that it really pays off in the long run. But now you're at JPMorgan Chase. For our veteran community across the nation, your journey into that, what's that been like? And then what kind of advice do you have for folks to say, hey, you can do it too?
So you can do it too. But I'll start with this advice. My first year was really hard in the actual transition to being an executive director a senior leader at JPMorgan Chase, trying to develop a program, growing a program called Operational Excellence. And I nearly quit in the first year. I nearly quit because I thought I was failing. And I thought I was failing because I was not delivering results in the same way that I had in the past in all my other jobs within 3 to 6 months, being able to deliver value. And a guy next to me, a good friend, Ben Edgson, he and I went walking, and I'm just sharing with him, just being candid. I'm always vulnerable on purpose because of that. Because I've learned that's an important element of leadership. So I sat next to him and I shared, I'm struggling. He's like, someone told me some good advice a long time ago. The one thing that you're good at, lean into it.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm good at leadership. And the aspects I'm really good at in leadership is I trust people, and that trust inspires them to achieve more than they think they can.
Yeah.
And I started leaning into that. And came back and I told every one of my staff members from a vacation, I'm like, I trust you because, I trust you because, I trust you because. And that year just took off. So whatever you're good at, whatever job you pursue, lean into the one thing that you're really good at in that job for the first year.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I've had that conversation with a number of folks as I take a look at what I want to do in a post-military career, and a number of folks are like, hey, yeah, you can reinvent yourself, but why don't you play to your strengths? And you've seen that. And I'm gonna tell you, hey, thank you for everything you've done. Between combat, being a great friend over the years, and what you're doing in your post-military career to really help out veterans, but also the corporate America. You're a true inspiration and a friend, and give Eileen my best. Hey, thanks, folks, for tuning in today. Today's segment is sponsored by Operation Barnabas, a great nonprofit over there in Clay County. Take a look at them, operationbarnabas.com. I'd ask again, my friends, don't drink that latte on Monday. Take that $5 to give it to Operation Barnabas for a great cause. Take a look, follow me on LinkedIn, and we'll see you at the next segment.
Operation Barnabas is a veterans ministry, started in 2017 with the purpose of helping our veterans that kind of got left behind.
These people went over and went to war for us, and a lot of their friends didn't come back, and that's a lot of the stuff that we as veterans deal with is there's a lot of people that didn't make it back, and then it's like, why are we here? So and then they isolate. And
they've struggled with addictions, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, those kind of things, helping them get whole again through one-to-one mentorship.
So being able to communicate with them and help them can drastically change their life, can drastically change a family's life. The little that we can do is put our hand out and say, hey, do you want a hand up? Like, we're not giving a hand out. Do you want a hand up? And just be able to be there with them and do life with them, and just be able to help them, because, man, they put their life on the line for you and me.